Welcome back, L2 crypto community. Today we're taking a look at what the infamous Bitcoin is. Bitcoin, of course, is at the top of the popularity charts when it comes to cryptocurrency and continues to keep a strong foothold on its #1 position in terms of market cap and popularity. In today's video, I'm going to cover a few things to get you introduced to Bitcoin and how this crypto craze started in the first place. We're going to be looking at the definition of Bitcoin, how Bitcoin works, why Bitcoin is popular, and should you invest? Just a disclaimer that this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and all the opinions here are for entertainment purposes and are based off my own research. Always do your own research and consult a financial advisor before investing your money. So let's take a look at the definition of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a type of digital currency that has a record of transactions which is maintained by solving mathematical problems. The solving of mathematical problems using a lot of computing power is done through a process called mining. Bitcoin uses a decentralized ledger system called a blockchain. It does not have any company or central figure behind it to date, as its founder Satoshi Nakamoto went missing in action quite some time ago. Now that we know the definition of Bitcoin, let's dive into how Bitcoin works. So Bitcoin does have a material coin that is encoded and cannot be copied, but its other more popular technology is the Bitcoin system, which uses a collection of computers, which are sometimes referred to as nodes or miners. The computers are constantly storing and running the Bitcoin blockchain, which has all of Bitcoin's code, also known as keeping it sort of existing. The miners all have the same list of blocks and the ledger of all transactions, so this is transparent. So it's not possible to have any bad actors. In each block, there are a lot of transactions that are stored, so you can always verify where the coins have come from. The best way to think of it is, if you're in a grocery store and you purchase an apple for $1, you provide the $1 bill to the cashier. The cashier then may provide that dollar bill later to another customer as change. The customer then goes and spends that dollar somewhere else. Now, if you ask the person where did that dollar come from, they would have no idea. So essentially, it could be fake. The process to verify the authenticity of that dollar bill is a hassle, and counterfeits can be made even though it is pretty difficult. With Bitcoin and the transparent ledger on the blockchain, you can know exactly where that Bitcoin has come from throughout its history, so it is impossible to fake. The technology of this verification process is called peer-to-peer technology. Bitcoin has been one of the first digital currencies to use this technology as a method of payment. Why? Because the banks and government are not needed to conduct this transaction, only the people and a whack of computers. Now, this is great in a sense of providing more security, but it is also a global system and has been riddled with fraud, of course. This is why many people are skeptical until the governments begin regulating and protecting investors more and more. I will note that the vast majority of the fraud has been due to passwords not properly being stored or been due to the exchanges that are buying or selling the Bitcoin on their platforms being penetrated or hacked in a certain manner, and thus the customers losing their Bitcoin in that way. It is not as if the Bitcoin system itself has been hacked and thus had an issue, period. Bitcoin mining adds and verifies transactions, so when you transfer Bitcoin or buy or sell, that transaction takes time and costs a transaction fee. That is because the transaction needs to be verified on the Bitcoin blockchain, and until that is complete, the transfer will not be complete. These verifiers/miners are rewarded by doing this, and they receive some Bitcoin. It is a fact that the reward is half every 210,000 blocks. So back in 2009, the block reward was 50 new Bitcoin, but in 2020, that was brought down to 6.25 of a Bitcoin. The last item to note is that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, making inflation on Bitcoin impossible. Many people see this as a unique investment opportunity and a hedge against inflation because there will never be more than the 21 million Bitcoins. If you have a few moments, I need to ask a huge favor, which is to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and smash the like button. It really helps my channel out and makes it worthwhile. Now that we've covered how it works, let's talk about why Bitcoin is so popular. Bitcoin has an extremely long story for having such a small history timeline. It is riddled with mystery, takes takes a great shot at governments and decentralization, and of course provides and has provided a financial breakaway story for many blue-collar workers and early believers. It makes many want to dig more into it, possibly invest, and of course root for its success. So back in 2008, there was somebody or a group of people who used the name Satoshi Nakamoto to release a Bitcoin white paper. This is the white paper that brought Bitcoin to life and sparked interest around the world about a new popular way to decentralize a currency in the securest way possible. It would take approximately 4 years to get its first real spike over $1,000 a coin for heads to start turning. Unfortunately though, for the next 4 years, it just wouldn't be enough to keep the spike alive. Fortunately for Bitcoin, renewed interest came in 2017 when the huge spike over $19,000 a coin happened, but it yet again plummeted down to $3,600 a coin in the beginning of 2019. Bitcoin though had begun its warpath and did not look back since. The volume in 24 hours at that point was $5.5 billion, and Bitcoin would see its secondary major pump coming in 2019 where it jolted back up to $13,000 a coin. It wouldn't really lose its foothold from there, and then the big boom came. In the middle of 2021, Bitcoin hit $63,000 a coin, 77.45 billion 24-hour volume on April 13th, and that was that. The market cap of Bitcoin raced over $1 trillion and was at that point worth more than most companies in the world. Institutional investors such as Michael Saylor, Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey, and the Winklevoss twins jumped on this opportunity to really pour their wealth and reputation behind Bitcoin, and it would really help propel Bitcoin forward going into 2022. Bitcoin in early 2022 now still has a $735 million market cap, which is gigantic, and although it is not the cheapest or fastest to transfer, the institutions are adding it to their balance sheets more and more as a hedge against inflation. Some of the bigger holdings are MicroStrategy, led by Michael Saylor, with 108,992 Bitcoins, Tesla, led by Elon Musk, with 42,902 Bitcoins, Galaxy Digital Holdings, led by Michael Novogratz, with over $700 million in Bitcoin, and Square, led by Jack Dorsey, with 8,027 Bitcoin. More and more companies and major institutions are adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets and seeing the regulations coming forward in 2022 or 2023 that will clear the air and pave way for one common thought, which is that Bitcoin and crypto are not going anywhere. The technology is too beneficial and the demand is too high to ignore. To top it all off on the popularity train, a multitude of famous artists, singers, athletes, models, and influential figures are helping to promote Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Some do this by putting a picture of themselves with laser eyes as their social media display picture. They apparently vow to keep these photos up until Bitcoin hits 100,000 and some $1 million per coin. So our last question is, for Bitcoin, should you invest? Historically, unless you purchased at the highs, you should have made some really great money off of Bitcoin. Many people have become millionaires and billionaires off of this, but they have what they called hodled, which is hold on for dear life. If you had the disposable cash to invest and you sat on Bitcoin, you most likely have made a great run. In 2022 though, it is a different scenario. There is very little disagreement on the side of technology or the security of Bitcoin, but there are new factors at play. Some of the biggest coming through this year are the regulatory risks towards Bitcoin. So who is the creative Bitcoin, and is it a security in the investment sense? If it is, then Bitcoin could lose quite a bit of steam. The next is being volatility. We've seen some absolutely insane plunges on Bitcoin, and looking at your investment tank over 60% quickly is not a great feeling. We have inflation coming out at sky-high rates and a decent-sized war that has the financial world on its toes. Bitcoin, I do agree, has the benefit of being the most popular, having the biggest market cap, and of course being the first most popular coin to push cryptocurrency into the spotlight, but I think you need to be careful in your decision. It's not as much as will Bitcoin go back up and by how much for me, as much as it is what can I afford, what is my time horizon for this investment, and what kind of returns am I looking to make. I do myself believe Bitcoin has and will continue to move with the market, and assuming regulators do not punish Bitcoin, it has a great likelihood of heading back up. By how much and when though is to be determined. Typically, the more risk, the more reward. So if you want 500% gains in a short time frame, Bitcoin may not be that investment for you, but it may be more secure than going with an altcoin that just came out with little to no market cap, but that does end up spiking 500%. So the real answer to this is be smart, do your own research, as always. That wraps up today's episode, and I hope you learned a few things about Bitcoin and what it is. We'll catch you in the next episode, and keep on learning. Hey community, thanks so much for watching my video. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to receive a notification when a new video drops. Have a great day and keep on learning.